Alright then, time to have a look at the new Season 16 Monk gear. So this is the Season 16 regular one. This is the equivalent of your just Conquest points gear, essentially. And you'll notice that it does look rather similar to what the Tier 17 Monk gear is, and that's because they are largely based off each other, so there's not really too much to be surprised about there. Nonetheless, though, I'm going to have a full look around this model and tell you what I think of the various elements of it. So first of all, I really like these little punchy things here. I think they look awesome. Yeah, it's just... it works. I think they're actually supposed to be lore-wise like bone or something, because I've seen these guys roaming around the various zones in Draenor who have got those like as hands, essentially. So it would seem like this is some sort of bone, which I guess makes sense. Maybe they're just wearing some sort of like light bone thingy that's infused with magic or something, so they can, you know, punch things harder. Now, another thing that I really do like about this gear is that while it is sort of bulky and crazy in some ways, it feels a little bit more nimble. If you look at the shoulders, they're not ginormously wide. I mean, okay, they're still pretty wide in terms of regular like fantasy gear, but still, like, it feels a little bit more just maneuverable than some of the other gear that comes out from you know, from Blizzard. That's great actually, because it really does fit the monk. It's a bit of gear as well actually that I think fits every monk. I had a little bit of an issue with a lot of Pandaria gear in that it just, like, it looked good on a Pandaren model, but it didn't look particularly good for anyone else's. And I think the Pandaren also suffer from the problem where a lot of models just don't look good in them. But this model, really, in my opinion, looks good on just about every class, or race even, which is definitely very nice to see. So in terms of other things about it, I like the way they've got this, jerkin, is that the word? Just like, you know, leather vest thingy-majig going on. That's cool. It feels sort of, you know, light and martial artsy, which I think is nice. The belt itself has got two sort of rope bondings on it. I think that's nice. But then, of course, it does jump into the big, you know, crazy thing with a banner on it. And you know what? Fair enough. I think that in this case, that does look pretty well. It's also got really solid boots. So overall, this is, in my opinion, a really, really nice bit of gear. Let's move on to some other models. So we've got the female, the human female one. This is a different color, and also I like the way that there's a little bit of Chi Orb styled or inspired design going on here with the shoulders. And yeah, I think that this actually looks really well on the humans, which surprised me, you know, so I'm definitely happy to see this. And also in blue, you know, with the whole Alliance theme, I just think that actually works pretty well. Alright, so next, here it is on the Pandaren. Yeah, not entirely convinced that the whole midsection here in the Pandaren male just looks a bit stretched out, though that is a problem that the Pandaren do suffer from. So I'm not too sure if this is even working in the Pandaren male model. I'd imagine they'll polish this up quite a bit. Really, it feels like this is the model that's scaled for maybe a human and then just sort of plastered onto the Pandaren, so maybe we'll get this working a little bit better in the future. Still, that's what it looks like in the Pandaren male. Let's look at a Pandaren female. I think that the Pandaren female's, like, proportions just work a lot better. The male is sort of pretty plump, whereas the female's just more curvy. And that means that textures and things like that aren't stretched as much, because of course you would have, you know, this is like the same resolution of texture as you would see on this guy, just that on him it's stretched. So that factor is less so in the female Pandaren, and I think that just means that it looks a lot better. Of course, we've got the hair problem here. That's whatever, that's just the model viewer stuff. And again, I just think the blue version of this armor looks really well. And then finally, I just thought I'd show it to you on an orc so that you can get a little bit of a bigger scaling on the various elements of the armor. I think it looks really well on orcs, actually. You know, there's something about the... You know, it's weird, actually. The way the shoulders and hands work in this, on the orc, it just conveys raw power. On, say, the human, it looks really nimble. But, of course, raw power in the orc, and I think that actually works out really well. So I'm actually happy about this bit of gear, and I'll probably at least try to get it in my monk, because I have been enjoying it quite a bit. Anyway, so do let me know what you think about this, and yeah, stay tuned for more model previews and general Warlords of Draenor news.